Temple took on Wagner at the Link this weekend, and fans are back tailgating. OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
It's been 2 weeks since we last saw you, and in those 2 weeks, Temple football has become #1 in passing yards allowed per game.
Yes, we're back, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. A major come-from-behind win for women's soccer, field hockey continues to impress, and we'll even dip into club sports, because they're back. But let's kick off with some homecoming football. It's homecoming week for the Owls, the first with fans since 2019. They will play their first conference match in their third straight home affair on Saturday against the 3-1 Memphis Tigers. The Owls have been inconsistent at best this season, winning big in weeks 2 and 4, but losing big in weeks 1 and 3. This game against Memphis is the first of 8 straight conference games. The last time the Owls faced off against the Tigers, they lost, 41-29.
You got a good opponent coming in, explosive offense, good defense, good in special teams. They're always good, and this year's no different.
I don't think they'll be that fast against us. You have to complete throws. You have to get positive gains in order to move fast. Tempo doesn't really work when the offense isn't working. They look like a big group. I know some of their tackles don't move very well, but they look like big, strong guys.
The freshman quarterback has shown a lot of promise in his play, just coming in and starting take control of the offense. I actually think he's really smart. He moves in the pocket well.
To bring us some more insight regarding Saturday's matchup against Memphis, we send it over to Edberg Olson Hall, where Inside the Nest reporter Eric Jessberger has spent much of his week. Eric, problem number 1 for the Owls is likely figuring out a way to stop the Memphis offense.
Yes, thanks, Josh. That's going to be the biggest challenge for the Owls this week after coming off of a Week 4 performance where they were able to get back in the win column versus Wagner. Got to keep going is the word around Edberg Olson Hall this week as the Owls get set to kick off their conference slate of the schedule when they host Memphis at the Link. The Tigers, 3-1 overall, are coming off of their first loss of the season, a 31-28 loss to UTSA. Dissecting this game, the Tigers did put up 21 in the first quarter alone. In terms of Temple's defense, they've allowed opening drive touchdowns in each of their last 3 games. This game will, in fact, be dictated early. If you're Temple, avoid playing from behind from the get-go and allow Mathis and the offense to establish a lead early. The Owls then have a chance for a strong showing Saturday against Memphis, who they are 3-3 against all time, as the conference part of the schedule gets underway. You can catch this game live on ESPNU or follow all the game action on @OwlSports Update on Twitter. We will have a crew there all day for post-game reactions as well. It's conference play finally underway in the schedule, and it all starts this weekend as the Owls get set to host Memphis and look to get off on the right foot in conference play, but also, record-wise, seek to get above 500 for the first time this season. Reporting from Edberg Olson Hall, I'm Eric Jessberger. Josh and Sage, back to you in Studio 3.
Thanks, Eric. And earlier this week, Owls backup quarterback Real Mitchell announced he is entering the transfer portal. The man we once referred to as the Real DL transferred to Temple before the 2020 season and saw action in only 3 games. In those appearances, Mitchell only threw 1 touchdown to go along with 114 rushing yards and 2 interceptions. This season, he didn't see any action as he fell on the depth chart.
So here is now Real Mitchell's former team, Saturday the Owls hosting the Seahawks of Wagner, who scored on their very first drive, but those points were Wagner's only. Just moments after the start of the second quarter, Dobbins tied it up at 7. The Owls defense wanted a piece of the action. Manny Walker pulled one from the sky, intercepting a Wagner pass. The ball back in the hands of the Owls now. It's Dobbins again for a double, his second touchdown of the day, and it wasn't his last. The Owls well in control of the game at this point. DeJuan Mathis throws to Cadus Reams. He scored the first touchdown of his career. Temple leaves Wagner lifeless, winning 41 straight, winning 41-7. When a handful of Temple starters went down with injuries, the Owls were yet again forced to embrace that next man up mentality to secure the win. Backups Kyle Dobbins and Jose Barbone were two players who showcased this mindset without hesitation on Saturday at the Link. OwlSports Updates' Tanner Gilmartin has more from the Link.
Temple fans were already on their way into the Link when word that starting wide receivers Randall Jones and Jaden Blue would not play in the Temple-Wagner matchup.
I'm hoping that Jaden is back next week. Randall will be in that day-to-day.
But wide receiver wasn't the only position where the Owls would be missing players. The safety, running back, tight end, nose tackle, and linebacker positions all left room for backup players to step up and make some plays. That includes running back Kyle Dobbins, who converted his low spot on the depth chart into 3 touchdowns versus Wagner.
Changed my whole mindset. Just stay down and get it, because I wasn't barely playing for the last 2-3 weeks.
The Owls are always preaching next man up mentality. And with late game inactives on both sides of the ball, Temple was able to practice what they preached, scoring a total of 41 unanswered points and allowing Wagner 0 passing yards in the second half.
All week, I be saying, Coach, come on, me. So, yeah.
And when Barbone was called on, he produced, securing 130 receiving yards. It was 2 backup players who helped the Owls dominate.
And I already knew that I gotta stay 100% dialed in the whole time.
It's safe to say that the Owls will need to stay dialed in as they now head into the conference part of their schedule. Reporting from Lincoln Financial Field, I'm Tanner Gilmartin, OwlSports Update.
Football was certainly not the only team that stepped up this past week, nor was it the only team to come from behind. The women's soccer team welcomed in conference foe Cincinnati last Thursday in what might end up as the game of the year for this program. And let's jump right in. Early on here in this game, 13th minute, Lauren Bastian steps up. She picks her spot and just drills a penalty, giving the Bearcats the early 1-0 lead. Now, just out of halftime, Cincinnati takes a corner and the ball just pinballs off of 4 different players until it finds the back of the net for Kendall Battle. Now, Temple down 2-0. In the 52nd minute, Haley Gutowski makes a run, waits to the last second, and she finds her teammate Emily Kavanaugh for an easy goal. Kavanaugh would actually tie the game with her second goal just 3 minutes later, but now not up at 2. In the 87th minute, Lexi Andres lofts a beautiful free kick in the box. The ball bounces right to the foot of Carly Steinberg, who does not squander the opportunity. Steinberg's first goal of her collegiate career, and one she won't forget as Temple completes the improbable comeback, beating Cincinnati 3-2.
This victory marks the team's 3rd in their last 4 games. That's a complete turnaround from their winless first 5 this season, where Temple scored just 2 goals. During this latest streak, the offense has got itself together with 9 goals, 6 coming in the second half alone. It's time for our first break of the day, but stay tuned.
On the other side, we'll let you know about some Owl legends who will become enshrined in the illustrious Temple Hall of Fame. Stick around. Welcome on back to OwlSports Update. This week, Temple's Hall of Fame will induct 12 new members and 1 individual team for the class of 2020, albeit a few months late.
This all happens Friday night.
And let's start on the gridiron. For 15 straight years, the Temple Owls had a losing record, even going 0-11 the year before Al Golden stepped in. Golden turned this program around, bringing in NFL talent such as Muhammad Wilkerson, Tahir Whitehead, and Brandon McManus. This talent was good enough to bring the Owls to their first bowl game in 30 years when Temple appeared in the Eagle Bank Bowl in 2009.
Now moving over to the court, one of the best women's basketball players in Temple program history, Kamisha Hairston, will join former teammate Candace Dupree in the Hall of Fame. In the 2007 WNBA draft, Kamisha Harrison was selected 12th by the Connecticut Suns in the first round.
We'll stay on the hardwood, this time the men's side. The late, great Mick Kilgore, who unfortunately passed away in 2018, but his memory will live forever in the Temple Hall of Fame. Kilgore started all 124 games during his 4-year tenure, leading the Owls to 3 NCAA tournaments and the 1991 Elite Eight.
After the past year and a half we've had, we owe so many thanks to our frontline workers in our hospitals. And one of them is Temple Volleyball's very own Dr. Zenzile Johnson-Mendoza. She is part of the 2020 Hall of Fame class, a group that'll be honored this Friday because COVID postponed last year's ceremony. Lastly, and most notably, the entire 1992 National Championship winning fencing team will be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
They went 17-1 that season, defeating Penn State in a hard-fought 9-7 victory for the title.
It feels great. They're very excited about the induction and seeing each other again. It wasn't an easy task at all. It was a fairly young team. We were definitely underdogs. What they did was truly special. Pure joy on their faces when they won. I'll never forget that, and the hugs and just the fact that they were so excited and that all their hard work had paid off.
Not sure if you've been told, but COVID-19 prevented Temple from having fans at any event last year, therefore preventing an official Hall of Fame induction from taking place. But better late than never. The aforementioned inductees will be enshrined during the Hall of Fame Gala on October 1st and introduced at halftime of Temple's game against Memphis on Saturday.
And if you've listened to Temple football games or basketball games over the last few decades, you know the voice of Temple athletics. But this year, Harry Donahue is changing roles. And as a result, the Owls are ushering in a new voice. OwlSports update Brielle Berry has more.
Thanks, Sage. Harry Donahue has been such an icon for the Temple football and men's basketball teams. There is now a new voice of Temple sports, and Donahue is looking forward to passing on the torch to the next generation of Temple fans. The voice of Temple football and basketball has been broadcasting legend Harry Donahue for the last 30 years.
But doing Temple now for over 20 years has been a real honor.
But that's changed this year. It's not that he's going away, but Donahue got a new job description. No more football, only home basketball games on ESPN+.
I don't mind having my schedule adjusted, so it gives me a little more free time at this stage of my life. So that made, and the transition, like I say, it's not an abrupt ending, it's a smooth transition, and I'm looking forward to it.
But it is a major change. Since the mid-90s, Donahue has been the only real voice of Temple football and basketball. His new role allows him to cut back on travel, but still be involved with Temple athletics. Taking over is Kevin Kopp, who will now be in charge of all football games, away basketball games, in addition to calling many of Temple's other sports.
As the Temple Owls 6-2 and 2-0 in the Big East step out of conference to welcome the 23rd ranked Delaware Blue Hens.
I mean, he has quite literally been doing this job longer than I've been alive. So it is overwhelming. It's daunting in the best way.
I couldn't be happier for him. My congratulations to him, and I wish him nothing but success.
It's a dream to have this job, but it is made more special because of the fact that Harry did it for as long as he did and as well as he did. I've always appreciated the graciousness. He's gone out of his way to be kind and to be generous toward me. And I really can't thank him enough for that.
I don't know when it's going to be for you. It's going to be Saturday.
This is Kopp's second stint at Temple. Originally, he was in charge of overseeing Owls TV. Then he left for a communications position within the Ivy League before returning to Temple to take over its video production department in 2019. Sage and Josh, back to you.
Field hockey had yet another chance to beat a nationally ranked opponent. Following its 2-0 loss against 9th-ranked St. Joe's, Temple had a chance to bounce back as the Owls welcomed the 23rd-ranked Delaware Blue Hens to Howarth Field last Saturday. To give the field hockey team a little bit of a push, but from the opening whistle, Delaware showing why they have a number next to their name. That's Kiki. I believe that's Kiki Well, we'll get back to that one. On the other side, the Duchess, Tess Mueller, puts a great ball, goes off a defender's stick, and finds Julianne Kopex, who has a backhand swing and goes upper 90 on the Blue Hens keeper to knot the game up at 1. However, that score only held for 7 minutes as the Blue Hens run a corner to perfection, setting up a goal for another Holland native. This time, Julia Duffhouse finds the back of the net, propelling Delaware to a 3-1 victory.
The loss drops Temple to 6-3, still the team's best record in many years. The Owls are undefeated on the road and still undefeated in the Big East. Much of this is due to a standout rookie and a seasoned veteran. OwlSports update Hannah Dorner has more.
Calm, cool, and collected. That has been the key to Temple Field Hockey's impressive 6-3 start. And that includes a perfect start in the Big East. 2-0 after beating cross-city rival Villanova and a 1-0 victory, which keeps them undefeated in conference play.
Going off of that great foundation that we have from today and then having practice tomorrow and kind of adding to it a little bit, I think that we're going to be in a really good place for Sunday, and it just kind of sets us up well.
Dragusa has started every game in goal this year for Temple after not seeing much of the field in her 3 years at UNC. This includes 4 shutout wins and a save percentage that is top in the league.
The thing that we always talk about is keeping your head in a freezer, making sure that at all times you are calm, collected.
Goalkeeping is coming from the most experienced player on the field, while offensive production is coming from one of the youngest. Standout freshman Julianne Kopeck leads the team's offense with 10 points.
As a team, we've been working in practice every day, like putting 110% and just focusing on what we need to work on and going into every game and thinking that we can compete with anyone we come against.
The ice-cold mentality has kept Temple competitive against ranked opponents and in hostile territory. The Owls have played 4 games away from their home field here at Howarth Field, and they've won all 4.
We just want to make sure that we come out here, we enjoy ourselves, we play to the best of our ability, and then do it again the next day.
Reporting for OwlSports Update, I'm Hannah Dorner.
We have to take our second break of the day, but when we come back, men's soccer looks to snap a 3-game losing streak and gets its first conference victory of the season.
Plus, there are more than 30 athletic teams at Temple playing this year for the first time since COVID shut us down. We'll explain on the other side.
It has been a very bumpy road for men's soccer since losing star goalkeeper Owen Goronsky to a bad foot. Heading into Wednesday's game versus Memphis, the Owls are riding a 3-game slide, including a 4-1 loss to a bunch of acronyms in UCF and SMU. A desperation game for both teams, winless in the conference, but it was the Tigers who came out a little bit hungrier. Just in the 3rd minute of action, Toby McCallum, have a shot, son! McCallum gives Memphis the early lead from long distance and hits his teammates with the Jordan shrug. Now, in the 19th minute, this time it's McCallum taking the set piece, kicking into the box, and the ball finds the foot of Maxi Galizzi. The Argentinian gives the Tigers a 2-0 lead, and this is a lead Memphis never relinquishes. Temple finished the game with just 3 shots on goal, and this final shot told the story. A well-struck ball from Kyle Hellman clanks off the woodwork, and the final whistle sounds. Memphis wins it 2-0.
Back to the acronyms. The Owls play next at SMU on Sunday. It's the second meeting over the last 2 weeks. The Owls lost 4-1 in their previous matchup against the 13th-ranked Mustangs just 2 weeks ago. You can tune in on ESPN Plus to watch the Owls try to pull that upset off at 8 p.m. on Sunday.
It's been 3 full semesters since Temple's club sports teams have had a chance to compete due to shutdowns from COVID-19, but they're finally back in action. OwlSports Update's Cameron Schofield has more on what this return means to hundreds of Temple students.
Practicing finishes and finishing with a celly. Both things members of Temple's club teams have missed out on for a year and a half due to COVID-19. The school's 31 non-scholarship club teams differ in scope from highly competitive to recreational, but they all never really got going over the pandemic.
Being able to play again is just like the best feeling. It's a place for us to like go out, relieve our minds, and do something outside of your house and meet new people.
Several club teams have their varsity counterparts that also represent Temple. The main difference being that these teams are completely student run with some help from campus recreation.
If we want to have a game, like we have to make sure no other D1 teams are using the field.
Losing an entire season hits harder for certain programs, like ice hockey, who play in a top-notch national conference from a facility completely separate from Temple.
We're not a club, we're a team. We're the Temple University ice hockey team. It has a lot to do with just our coaching staff and our commitment to recruiting and becoming a high-level program, because overall that's what we want to do. We want to increase our national rank.
All in all, club sports are back. From just getting you active to chasing titles, they all have different goals. But through Campus Rec's website, any Temple student can sign up.
Tryouts for the new guys that we have was a little bit of a shock. Now that we're sort of 3 weeks in, we're just ready to win some games.
And at least for ice hockey, it all comes to a finish in March with the national tournament in St. Louis. For OwlSports Update, I'm Cameron Schofield.
It's now time for the return of what will become your favorite segment, if it's not already, the Sage and Saffron Spotlight, where we highlight a standout team or player from around Temple Athletics.
This week we have 2 athletes representing women's soccer who have both played major roles in the team's recent success. I was the goalie in middle school on the soccer team, so I have a soft spot for anyone in the net. That being said, my spotlight player this week has to be keeper Cameron Stabelin. On Thursday against Cincinnati, she recorded 12 saves, which proved to be huge in preventing Cincy from reclaiming its lead. Stabelin is the conference leader in saves this season. She's totaling 53 so far, and now she's tied for 24th in the nation.
What a week for women's soccer it was. My spotlight is on Emily Kavanaugh, who took the honor of AAC Offensive Player of the Week, and boy, did she earn it. Kavanaugh scored 2 goals, or a brace as I call it across the pond, in back-to-back games last week. First against crosstown rivals Drexel, then Kavanaugh put the team on her back against conference opponent Cincinnati, scoring back-to-back goals down 2-0 to tie the game up, propelling the Owls to their first conference victory of the season. Well, I'm just about ready for a break, Sage.
We'll be right back. For the first time in a long time, now that COVID restrictions are eased, Temple fans are finally back tailgating in the lots before Temple games. I got in on all the action on Saturday before Temple's win against Wagner. Anyone in the parking lot of the Link on Saturday heard a whole lot of this.
Go out! Go out! Go out! Go out!
Fans are finally back tailgating at the Link. And over the past 2 home game weekends, the lot was packed with Temple fans of all kinds, sporting their finest cherry and white for the first time since 2019.
It feels absolutely wonderful to be back and just to see students' faces again and to finally get out and actually support our athletics just feels great.
For some fans, the competition against Wagner began even before kickoff.
So I'm obviously winning. I mean, Temple's always going to win, right? I mean,
I've been waiting to get beaten cornhole for a whole year.
Last season, COVID restrictions prevented tailgating all year long, but now some of Temple's biggest fans are back.
Temple, big win!
When Temple fans enter the K-Lot, they cannot miss the Tempers. And after a year of waiting, the crew is more excited than ever to be back.
Seeing everybody, the crowds, old friends, new friends, it's beautiful.
The Temperers and more will be back in the packed parking lots for the Owls' remaining 4 home games, starting with their homecoming game against the Memphis Tigers on Saturday at noon.
I'm not missing that. I missed my daughter's wedding.
That's all the time we have.
We'll see you next time.